right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Death of Death podcast, where we proclaim Christ's victory over sin, death, and everything else. I am your host, as always, Nick Stewart, and if you've seen the title for today's episode, then you know the sad truth that this is the final episode of the Death of Death. And, I just wanted to take the opportunity to tell you guys what's going on, and thank you for listening for a year and a half. I'm starting a new job next week. Finally got a new job after, the lockdowns. Long story short, the lockdowns put me too far behind with barbering to really do that, to really make that a feasible option. So that part of my life is over, but I got a job. Not going to say where because they probably wouldn't want to be associated with me, but I got a job starting next week, and my wife and I are moving into a house soon. So we will be moving out of this beautiful apartment. So with so much going on, I thought it would be a good time to rebrand the podcast. So, yes, this is the final episode of the Death of Death, but I, as a celebrity personality that you've all come to love, I'm not going anywhere. So, I am going to take, 4-ish weeks off of, don't hold me to that, off of the podcast, and we're going to be, I'm going to be doing a new kind of show. So I should address that. I should address, why a rebrand or a new show or whatever you want to call it. It's going to be the same show. It's going to be called something different. But there's a thing about content creation that you may not understand. I think anyone can understand it. So I'm not going to talk down to you if you're not a content creator. What does that even mean? But if you're not a content creator, you might not know that, even if you really love your thing, it is hard to produce content week in and week out, or on any regular kind of basis, like a day-to-day kind of basis. Theology has been my thing on this podcast. And as much as I love theology, and I read theology every day, I read the Bible every day, I love Jesus, but it is really hard to produce quality theological content on a weekly basis. So that does not mean I don't like theology. It doesn't mean that I'm deconstructing and I'm not going to be a Christian anymore. It doesn't mean any of that. In fact, Sam Blandon and I are starting another theology show, and that was another thing that I had to think about. Was all right, I'm already struggling to get enough content out. Now I'm going to be doing a second theology show every single week. So is this sustainable, And I concluded that it was not. So, I'm still going to be talking about theology on this show. The only difference is I'm only going to be talking about things I really want to talk about. I did that Trinity episode a month or two ago. Probably longer than that now. But I did those post-millennial episodes. Those are things that I was really, really into at the time that I did the episode. Those are the kind of episodes I want to do, and I wanted to find a way to not have to, phone it in for a week if there was really nothing that I could make an episode out of. I just picked something and kind of rambled about it. I don't want to do that anymore. So, I've decided I don't really know what the show is going to be called or what the theme is going to be, but it is going to be a platform where I'm free to talk about politics. I talk about politics on this show, but I don't like talking about politics on this show because I think of this show as a theology show, and it just seems inappropriate to talk about politics. But I want to have a show where if I did want to talk about politics, I could do that. On the survey that you guys filled out a few months ago, everyone said they wanted to hear me talk about music, and politics was up there too. I'm really into economics, and I would love to talk about some economic stuff and like be able to put it in super basic, understandable terms for people. That's a passion of mine, is to take, things that are complex and make them simple. So yeah, there's just a lot that I want to talk about. And, it's not all theology. So I think I just need to, find a platform that's not a theology show. And if you really, really need theology from me, I'll be doing a theology show with Sam Blandon every week. So, and I'll still be doing a lot of theology on this show. I just won't be doing it every single week when I don't feel like it. That's really going to be the only difference. So the timing is pretty unclear, but I'm looking at 4 to 6 weeks before I'm back doing the show. We are moving into a house, and I'm going to have a studio in this house. So part of that is going to depend on the timing of moving into the house, and we're not sure yet when we can move in, so it could be an extra week or two if things go poorly. But there's going to be a studio in the house. It's going to be awesome. Sorry, there was a cat under my desk. I'm going to paint the walls black and soundproof the room and get better equipment. There's going to be better cameras, better mics, better lighting. I really like the area over here that I moved from the kitchen over to the living room here, but the lighting over here sucks. So anyways, way better lighting. So yeah, that's all gonna happen. Not really sure, the timing, but because I'm not sure of the timing, I need you to do 3 things for me. And the first one, super easy, doesn't cost you anything, and actually doesn't require that you do anything. The first thing that you need to do for me is do not unsubscribe from anything, because all of these platforms are going to be the same for the new incarnation of the show. Do not unsubscribe from the YouTube channel thinking that there's never going to be any more videos there. Don't unsubscribe from any of the social media or the Patreon or anything. I'm going to be using all the same stuff. I'm just going to be changing the name on it to reflect the new brand or new podcast or whatever. Second thing you can do for me, if you haven't signed up for the email list yet, I am going to make that available. I don't know if there's a link I can put in the show notes, but if all else fails, if I was able to do it, there's going to be a thing on the bottom of the screen that says, go to the show notes or whatever. But if you just go to the homepage, deathofdeath.net, it's right there on the homepage. There's a little box on the right-hand side to subscribe. And also sign up for the Patreon if you haven't yet. The email list and the Patreon page are going to be the first places to get any sort of news about the new show, about what I'm up to. And I want to give updates as I go. I want to show you guys as I'm working on the studio. I want to talk to you guys, if I talk to, some marketing folks, I want to talk to you guys about, any progress I've made with the name. And I want you guys to be the first ones to know when I pick a name and stuff. I think I'm going to drop a Patreon exclusive at the end of August. Usually I drop an exclusive Patreon episode at the end of the month. That obviously hasn't happened in a long time. That's just part of the whole, thing. In addition to wanting to talk about some different stuff and wanting a show that's appropriate for that, I'm not going to lie to you guys, like the show's not doing well numerically. I think I can say that, as I'm struggling to come up with content every week, the streams and downloads are at an all-time low. they are lower now than when I first launched the podcast a year and a half ago. And so when you're already kind of struggling to come up with content that's quality and consistent, then you see the numbers and you realize that like people are tuning out. It just makes it harder to kind of muster up the enthusiasm necessary to make a particular kind of content. And, we've even lost patrons, which it's never happened before. And now that's happening. And so, it's just, those are all signs that it's time to switch things up. And, what better option really than to just blow the whole thing up and start over, right? Not that that's really what we're doing, but, it makes sense right now to rebrand and start something new. So if you're thinking to yourself that, I'm going to unsubscribe from the Patreon if he's not going to make a podcast for a month, or, I was going to sign up, but I think I'll wait now. This is actually the best time to do it because I am going to need money to pull this off, and I'm going to do it regardless. But if you signed up right now to be a patron, it would really help out, with all of the, costs of building a studio and, talking to marketers and buying equipment and all that stuff. So yeah, if you're already a patron, hold on, give me 4 to 6 weeks. If you're not yet, sign up, get on the ground floor of this new thing we're doing. It's funny to think that in 10 years you might, be considered a veteran supporter of the show, even though it feels like you're getting into the game late. This is the end of the death of death, but it's just the beginning of whatever's coming next. So get in there, partner with me in doing this. And I've decided that, as a token of my gratitude for anyone who is a patron who sticks with me through the hiatus, and anyone who signs up during the hiatus, I am gonna make sure that you're compensated with cool merch, because there will be new merch when the show has a new name. There's gonna be stuff, and I want to make sure that you if I can't get you a t-shirt for free, because that costs a lot of money, if I can't do that, I want to make sure you get it at cost, and I'll pay for shipping. Your Patreon money will pay for shipping. I want to make sure stuff like stickers and stuff, you get those for free. Small stuff, like I want to give you as much stuff as I can free and give you as much of a discount on the stuff that I can't give you free. And I'm going to actually make a special list of everyone who's a patron through the hiatus and everyone who signs up during the hiatus. And you're going to be on that list. And every time there's new merch or a new thing or just anything, like whatever I'm doing, I'm going to make sure that you guys get some sort of compensation in that, whether it's a discount or just free stuff. And, it's all I can promise now, and I don't want to overpromise anything, but I really want to make sure that you guys know you're appreciated and know that I recognize that it is a bit of a sacrifice to pay a subscription for 1 month when there's no podcast coming out, But I also don't want to make it sound like there's not going to be any content. I'm trying to do more blogs, and I'm going to try, with the free time I have not doing the podcast, I am going to try to do a blog every week, because it's just a little easier to produce those. And I'm going to make sure that you guys, the patrons, get them early. A couple days early, like as early as I can. So got that. I'm looking at all the stuff I wanted to say. Okay. And you know what? I think that's really all I have to say about where the show's going. All I got to say, I want to reiterate the 3 things I need you to do again. Do not unsubscribe from anything if you want to know where the new show is, because it's all going to be the same channels and platforms and everything. Don't unsubscribe from anything if you want the new show. 2, subscribe to the email, because that is where news is going to be dropping, and I'm going to try to do a lot of news updates about things as they progress, like a new logo and the name of the show and all that. And 3, if you're not a patron yet, sign up to be a patron. It is $4 a month, and I say every time I announce it, I say it's less than a good cup of coffee, and that's true. A medium latte at Starbucks costs like $4.65 or something. Okay, for $4 a month, you're making this show happen. Okay, for less than a Starbucks coffee, that might not seem like a lot to you, might seem insignificant, but you guys add up, and and you've really gotten me a far way with the money that you give me every month. It helps when I'm not working. It helps when, I'm trying to pay for advertising. It just helps on every level. So even if it felt small to you, I want to thank you. And I want to encourage anyone who's not subscribed yet to sign up, because, it may seem like a stupid time to get signed up, but this is the best time to get signed up. So I do want to acknowledge the patrons we already have, and I'm actually going to read all of your names because I want each and every one of you to get some kind of recognition. I want you guys to know I appreciate you. So first and foremost, we've got Phil DeTore, who was our very first patron the day I announced it, March 22nd. 2020. He signed up. Thank you, Phil, for being our first patron. And that very same day, Nick Quint, who's been a guest on the show many times, he signed up as well. The very next day after that, Cameron Morgan, man, longtime friend. He designed the current logo. The illustration is drawn by my sister Allison, but Cameron designed, made the font and the circle and everything, and cleaned up the drawing, made it like a logo, so those two created the logo together. Devin Coxwara, patron since March of 2020. Thank you, man. Close friend of mine as well. So Phil, Nick, Cameron, Devin, they all signed up within days of the Patreon launching. And obviously back then there was not a lot of content coming out or anything. And it was right in the middle of lockdown, by the way, the March 20s of 2020, right in the middle of lockdown. And these guys forked up money to help me do what I wanted to do with my life. So I can't thank you guys enough. Brian Seitz, who's been a guest on the show as well. Great man that I've known for a couple years now. One of my favorite people to talk to. Christina Kane, Hillary Cook, my mother, Kelly Stewart, Trevor Wright, who's been a guest, Caleb Short, awesome guy. He's so awesome. I haven't seen him in years, dude. I haven't seen him in years, and he signed up to support my podcast. How cool is that? My sister, Allison Stewart, Chris Jameson, one of the biggest supporters of the show, rivaled only by Cole Cleveland. And then, of course, Chris Pobletti, who was my pastor back in California and new to the show, new to the patron. Unfortunately, right at the tail end of the Death of Death's long sordid history, we got Austin Whiting, who I just announced last week. But Austin, man, if you hold on for the next week, you're going to be so glad that you are a Patreon supporter, and you're going to be so glad that you're one right now. That's all I can promise you. So that's in order of when you signed up. What I want to do, which might seem inappropriate, and I'm not going to say numbers, is I am going to list the 4 people who have given the most money over the last year and a half. First place, Kelly Stewart, my mom, of course, who didn't see that coming? Second place, Devin Coxwara. Third place, my sister, Allison Stewart. And fourth place, Cameron Morgan. You have all given triple-digit figures to the show. Man, I don't do that to blow up your status or something, just brag about how much money you've given me. I point that out only to show your generosity and to thank you publicly for how much you've done for the show and to how much you've given. So that being said, Just wanted to read all your names and thank you guys. It's really cool that you guys have been supporting the show, and I don't have time to mention it every single week, but from the bottom of my heart that I really appreciate it. And, like, you guys are the tangible proof that, like, my desires for my life and career are possible, So I just want to thank you for that. And, if any of you have listened to this episode and have decided to unsubscribe from the Patreon, you've decided that you don't want to support this show during the transition, I can't have any hard feelings against you after all you've done over the last year, so there will not be any hard feelings, but man, I really do want to encourage you to keep giving for the next month. And, if the show comes back and you don't like what we're doing, then no hard feelings either. But, I think you're all, based on the survey that you guys filled out, you are all really going to like where the show goes in the future. So, man, I'm just really, really excited for the next chapter. And I haven't done the traditional outro for a long time. And I'm actually like struggling to remember it right now. I used to say it at the end of every episode. I thought for the last episode it would be appropriate to say it. So oh man, I can't okay. If you're as committed to proclaiming Christ's victory as I am, I'll be here to do it all over again with you next week. Except this time I won't. I'll be here to do it with you in another form. So I'll see you guys in a few weeks. Thanks for listening.